I'm trying to stop eating my hair. So what I wanted to talk about today was this idea of trying easier. So I had one of my mentors today read a poem, or something from a woman called Shandine Francis. This idea of trying easier. And it's really got me thinking about this advice this kind of narrative that we have, that we always have to try harder. We always have to do more and do better. I think one of the things I'm really learning at the moment, I'm doing a menstruality leadership training, and it's really having me kind of like step into, I'm actually almost loath to use the word, but into this kind of like deeply feminine way of being and way of viewing the world. And interestingly, from like this position of the menstrual cycle, there is huge space for agency, for action. From what my teachers, Alexandra and Charnier from Red School, called the Via Positiva, this energy of action and agency, and what you might kind of be more familiar with, the idea of yang. And there's a huge part of that in the cycle. In the first half, sort of the inner spring, the inner summer, first half of any cycle, where like there's enthusiasm and energy and like, yes, going to do things. It feels really good, at least for me, in that kind of energy. But one of the things that I'm really curious about, like their advice, the kind of the self-care practice in a summer, in this place where the energy of agency is at its highest, is to allow. To allow. And it really struck me as a recovering perfectionist of how often I'm in this place of forcing. That like even when I feel good, I'm forcing. Like I'm forcing myself to do more. And maybe like forcing is too strong a word some of the time. Pushing. Yeah, it's like that I have to be the one taking action. I have to be making stuff happen. I have to be out and forward and like doing stuff in the world. And again, I don't want to like damn that desire. There are definitely times where I think pushing and putting a lot of energy and effort into something can be really wonderful. But as somebody who does that too much, as a kind of recovering control freak, as a habitual overdoer, like I do that too much and I overextend myself in these places. So I'm really curious about this idea of allowing. And I had a beautiful metaphor for this week that really stood out for me. It's like I'm trying to be 3 or 4 steps ahead of myself. And I often kind of have this noticing that I want to be further ahead than I am. It's something I can notice. It's really hard to be satisfied sometimes with being where I am at this point of the journey. It's like I want to be a little bit further on. I want to have more clients. I want to be making more money. I want to be having more impact. Like I want to be somewhere where I'm not. And there's something motivating about that. And there's also like this metaphor they're using. If you're like always 3 or 4 steps ahead of yourself, always a little bit further down the river, then you're always having to paddle. Like you're always having to work hard to stay there. Whereas there's something really comforting around relaxing back into the place where I am and allowing myself to act from where I am, allowing myself to act from the experience that I'm having now, the reality that I'm having now, not something that I'm aspiring to in the future. And this really resonates with me, with this idea of trying easier. And it's not about not trying, it's not about not having agency or taking action, but how can I do that in a way that is more compassionate to myself and where I am right now? That has me, able to relax. And because when I'm relaxed, my body is relaxed, I'm more responsive. Like when I'm tense and I'm in this mode of like pushing, it's like everything gets narrow, everything gets focused on the thing that I'm pushing. And I can't be responsive to the inevitable like twists and turns that life has. It's like a goalkeeper who's like so focused on the guy who's taken the penalty in front of them that they're rigid and fixed in place, right? And goalkeepers, martial artists, the sports people of most genres, like they're fluid, right? They're especially team sports, like they're able to respond to things happening around them, and that requires a degree of relaxation and fluidity in the body that I notice is really absent for me when I'm in like the perfectionist mindset and in this place of pushing. So, what would it be like to try easier? What would it be like to invite like a little more softness into that sense of agency? So one of the ways I like to play this with clients and in the body, because this can get like a notice for me when people talk about slowing down. I'm like, yes, but what does that mean? Like, does that mean I physically have to do less? Does it mean that I physically operate like something in me? Someone's like, oh, our brain doesn't compute. And there's something I notice that this wisdom inherently lives in my body. So one of the things I quite like to do with clients is come into the body of pushing. So allow yourself to exaggerate the state of kind of pushing. I describe for me like I come forward, it's like my gaze gets narrow, it's all here. And like my hands come out in front of me. I notice I do that a lot when I'm in this body. It's like, got to control, got to grip. Oh, do all the things, do all the things, do all the things. Okay, so let that go. Have a little bit of a shake. Now lean all the way back. So go as far back as you went forward. Okay. And you might notice that maybe there's like some comfort in here. This probably feels really relaxed. I remember once saying to my mentor, in this kind of body, "Oh, this is great, but I'm not going to change the world from back here." Which, yeah, maybe you're having a kind of a similar experience. Maybe it almost doesn't feel safe to be this relaxed. It's kind of like, oh wow, if I'm this relaxed, how am I ever going to get started again? Or even kind of like a sense of like smallifying, like disappearing as you move back. That can also be quite common. So again, take a breath, allow yourself to shake that out a little bit. And now come to a place that feels like in the middle. And the way I like to do this is, can you stay connected to your back body? Can you keep your awareness around the back of your heart? If you're in a more upright chair than I am in right now, can you like allow yourself to feel the back of the chair on the back of your body? Even as you have a sense at the front of being able to move forward. So there's a sense of kind of like moving forward as you're kind of relaxing back into, if somebody had their hand on your back, yeah, that you could move forward and relax back at the same time. And for me, that's the body of this kind of trying easier. That I am able to move, I am able to take action and try and be in my agency and get stuff done. And it's coming from this place of allowing. And whether you imagine that hand as God or the universe or life or even your sense of your own resilience, yeah, your own support for yourself, that you can relax back into something and you can allow yourself to move forward at the pace that feels right for you. So this isn't about some kind of external arbitrary standard around what is fast or slow. It's at a pace that feels sustainable. It's like, yeah, I can move at this pace. This pace feels good. I feel connected to myself. I feel connected to my environment and to the people around me. Yeah, there's like a sweet, I'd say sweet spot. It's like a little range. And, one of the things I noticed for me at different parts of my cycle, different parts of my day, what feels good kind of, looks different. That's totally normal, I think. Moving at this pace, this pace that feels like you can relax, that feels like you are allowing and trying easier. So I'd love to hear how this lands for you. Some of this is still like really like it's starting to sink in on deeper and deeper levels for me. This is stuff that I've intellectually understood for, say, a few years now. And yeah, the more I keep revisiting it, the more I'm embodying it on like a deeper and deeper level. So I'd love to hear how this lands. And yeah, if there's something that intrigues you, if you're like, wow, I want some of this, or yeah, there's a longing and you're not sure how to do this, then please get in touch. Like this is what I really love to do for people, do with people, is to help you find this way of trying easier. So with that, I am gonna stop and take a couple of hours off right at the end of my menstrual cycle. I'm kind of tired and yeah, like physically wanting to move quite slowly. So yeah, thank you so much for being here with me, and yeah, I really look forward to hearing your comments and reflections. All right, bye.